Hi, I'm Michael Wan. Thanks for watching us today. President Donald Trump's major achievements. That is the subject of today's op-ed live. Donald Trump has accomplished a lot in the past 2 years, and some are even saying that we have never seen a president who has kept his campaign promises like President Trump has. Politics aside, nobody can dispute the fact that Trump has done exactly what he promised he would do. Even the uber-liberal Washington Post put out an op-ed of Trump's accomplishments. It must have been very painful for them to even print the editorial piece. But this is what the op-ed said. Trump kept his promise to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. In contrast, his 3 predecessors failed to do it. He promised to bomb the S out of ISIS, and it seems like he did just that and all but eliminated the Islamic State's physical caliphate. He promised to impose a travel ban on countries that he saw as posing a terrorist threat, and after several false starts, the final version of his ban was upheld by the Supreme Court. He promised to punish Syria if it used chemical weapons on its people. He did just that as well. Unlike his predecessor, Barack Obama, he followed through not just once, but twice. Trump pledged to nominate Supreme Court justices in the mold of Justice Antonin Scalia, and now Neil Gorsuch and recently Brett Kavanaugh sits on the High Court. Trump also pledged to fill the federal appellate courts with young conservative judges, and so far the Senate has confirmed 29, more than any recent president at this point in his administration. Trump vowed to pass historic tax reforms and sign the first major overhaul of the tax code in 3 decades. He vowed an unprecedented regulatory rollback with a strict policy to eliminate 2 existing regulations for every new regulation. Well, he over-delivered on this front as well. He got rid of 22 existing regulations for every new regulation. In his first year, he achieved $8.1 billion in lifetime regulatory savings and is on track to achieve an additional $9.8 billion this year. Trump said this to the Hispanic and African voters: "What do you have to lose?" During the campaign, he told African American voters, "What do you have to lose? I will straighten it out. I'll bring jobs back. We'll bring the spirit back." On his watch, African American unemployment reached the lowest level ever recorded, and his tax reform included a little-noticed provision creating opportunity zones to try to revitalize struggling towns and inner-city communities. And guess what? Hispanic unemployment and Asian unemployment also hit all-time low, and women unemployment, female unemployment rate hit the lowest in 65 years. Trump promised to cancel President Barack Obama's Clean Power Plan, withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, approving the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines, and opened the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge to oil exploration. He fulfilled all of those pledges. On trade, he kept his promise to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership and impose tariffs on steel and aluminum. He also renegotiated NAFTA and changed it to USMCA, and he also successfully renegotiated the KORUS agreement as well. KORUS meaning Korea-United States Agreement. He committed to imposing tariffs on China to force it to open its markets and stop its theft of intellectual property, and is following through on that pledge. I bet China is having a really difficult time right now. Whatever one thinks of Trump's trade policies, he is doing exactly what he said. The president pledged historic increases in defense spending and delivered. He pledged to bring back manufacturing jobs, and manufacturing jobs are growing at the fastest pace in more than 2 decades. The Trump administration has created more than 600,000 manufacturing jobs. The jobs that Obama said would never come back has definitely come back in a big way. He pledged to sign right-to-try legislation to give dying Americans access to experimental treatments, and he did so. He pledged to take on the opioid epidemic and will soon sign a sweeping bipartisan opiates package into law. Where Trump has failed to keep promises, such as building the wall or repealing Obamacare, it has not been for lack of trying. He got rid of the individual mandate, which essentially killed Obamacare. And he got a verbal promise from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to get $25 billion fund for the wall. Only in a few rare instances has he backtracked on a campaign pledge, such as when he admitted that he was wrong to promise a complete withdrawal of United States forces from Afghanistan and reversed course. On yesterday's 60 Minutes interview, he regretted not moving faster on getting rid of NAFTA deal. It is simply amazing. Washington Post continues, whether one agrees or disagrees is not the point. When Trump says he will do something, you can take it to the bank. Yes, we all know he likes hyperbole and loves to exaggerate. But unlike his predecessor, he did not get his signature legislative achievement on the basis of a lie. Remember when Obama said, if you like your health care plan, you can keep it? Well, that turned out to be a major law, which the mainstream media like New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS do not emphasize to the public. How come? Because the media is in the group with the Democratic Party. They are one and the same. There is no difference between the mainstream media and the Democrat Party. It's all the same. The talking points are the same. Sometimes, if you read their op-ed or editorials, it sounds like a Democrat politician's policy. That's what it is. So, anyway, Washington Post finishes with this sentence. The fact is, in his first 2 years, Trump has compiled a remarkable record of presidential promise. He'd probably say it's the best in history, which may or may not end up being true. It's too soon to tell. Well, I want to emphasize to our viewers that even Washington Examiner recently came out with an article that says, Year 1 list, 81 major Trump achievements and 11 Obama legacy items repealed. And jobs and economy, if you look at it, he has created more than 4.3 million jobs ever since he got elected into office. And if you look at the Dow Jones, it has reached record highs. And also a rebound in economic confidence to a 17-year high. And he signed 15 congressional regulatory cuts. And in the fair trade front, he made good on his promise, like I told you, on withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, opened up the North American Free Trade Agreement for talks to better the deal for the U.S. And he actually recently signed that with Canada and Mexico. And also, in protecting the U.S. homeland front, he laid out new principles for reforming immigration and announced plan to end chain migration, which lets one legal immigrant to bring in dozens of family members. And he removed 36% more criminal gang members than in fiscal 2016, which means he removed 36% more criminal gang members compared to Obama administration. And Homeland rounded up nearly 800 MS-13 members, an 83% one-year increase. There's just so many of them. So many of accomplishment that Donald Trump did. But the mainstream media has refused to report about it. Well, Washington Post, the uber-liberal Washington Post, has finally came out with an editorial. It wasn't from their editorial. It was an op-ed, so a conservative columnist wrote that one. But anyway, I give kudos to Washington Post for actually mentioning Donald Trump's accomplishment, which many of the other major news outlets has yet to do. Well, that's our show for today. Our show is not about left or right, it's about right or wrong. To stay up to date with our latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.